is going on, everyone? You are all very welcome back to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast. A brand new season of the NFL is almost upon us. We are now leading into week one, and it is a massive year for the NFL in Ireland. It's going to feel like it feels like a really, really big season. Jimmy English and Stephen Kearns back on your screens and in your ears wherever you are watching and listening. Delighted to be here. Looking forward to a great year ahead. Before we do get stuck in, a special announcement. We've officially teamed up with printmypint.ie. They are going to be our sponsors for the year ahead, sponsoring our NFL content. So a big thank you to Adam and Neil for their support. And look, we'll be able to do so much more with them behind us. So make sure you check them out at printmypint.ie. And great for your next event. We're going to have to talk to John Twist about getting Print My Pint down for his wedding in a few weeks' time. Get a few Gaelic Gridiron logos on the old pint of Guinness. Good to see you, my friend. The last time I saw you was in Connolly Station on our way back from the college football game. It was a week ago now, but it feels like so much longer. I don't know about you. It took me a good 2 days to recover after that game.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL season in general, it feels like it's been the longest off season just because we're building to the Dublin game. But yeah, that K-State Iowa State game, afterwards, it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was a lot longer of a day than the previous years. I don't know why, it just felt that way. But it did take a couple of days to get over that. Especially going up and down all those stairs with my torment.
I was shattered.
That was great. But yeah, good to be back. There's been some big news in the NFL, and we're going to jump into that. Obviously, the biggest news are us team up Print My Pint, which is great. We're going
to big step for the Gaelic Gridiron brand. So lots of it's a big year for, like you said, it's a big year for the NFL in Ireland. Absolutely massive, and we're actually officially 4 weeks away at the time of recording from that game in Croke Park. So we're going to have so much going on around that. It's going to be absolutely unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, there's there's corporate events going on. There are also fan events going on. There is a fan event in the Woolshed on the Friday before where all Steelers fans from around the world who will be in Dublin are going to meet up, have a few drinks, get to know each other, just show up in your black and gold gear. If you are not a Steelers fan, you're still welcome, except if you're Cleveland, Baltimore, or Cincinnati.
I have heard as well a little rumor that there's going to be an official NFL fan zone in Dublin Castle beginning on the Wednesday of game week, running until Saturday. So lots of it, we've seen some of those in previous years when the NFL has come to London and to Germany and other international venues. So they're always great crack, because the great thing about these international games is that fans of all teams can come together in the communal kind of spirit of NFL. We'll have more about that on our socials when we learn more, and also something else exciting. And I was talking to you and some of the guys about this twist is the Steelers are going to be opening a merch store in Dublin City Centre, 1,500 square feet or 15,000 square feet. I can't remember.
1,500.
Yeah, well, it's going to be big, and it's not just for game week. It is going to be all season long. So Steelers fans in Ireland, you'll be able to pick up your gear, your football gear, not the other kind of gear. This is the south side of the city we're talking about throughout the season. So again, keep an eye on socials for that. Twist's bank account is already being drained just thinking about it.
I mean, just look around me. I don't think they'll have anything that I don't already have.
No.
But we'll see. I'll have to venture in. I'll have to show my face. It's going to be the shortest 4 weeks for NFL fans in Dublin. It's going to be even shorter 4 weeks for Steelers fans in Dublin. It's going to be a takeover. I mean, I've the various groups I've keeping an eye on, from Facebook to Reddit, etc. There are Steelers fans who are coming to Dublin who don't have a ticket, and they're just going to go to bars that are showing the game just because they want to be in Dublin for the game. So while the crowd itself will be a mishmash of NFL fans, and there will be a fair, battalion of Steelers fans and Vikings fans, I'd say, the city itself is going to be, black and gold through and through. But speaking of the NFL, what is wrong with Jerry Jones?
Yeah, obviously the biggest kind of bit of news from the obviously we're going to have take a look at the preseason here as we get into before we get into the regular season, but like just absolutely mind blowing that the Cowboys would trade away their best player, arguably their best player. They're one of the best defensive players in the league, snapped up by the Packers, who made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, ahead of obviously the money that TJ Watt um earned earlier in the summer. And I couldn't believe it when I saw the notifications coming in on Twitter. I mean, and then Jerry Jones coming out and the head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, coming out and saying, "Oh, we can still win the Super Bowl without Micah Parsons." I'm very sorry. No, you can't.
It's a strange decision, like when you've got a generational player like Parsons, and most teams will take the really hard decision to get rid of them if they have to. But the sense things, Jerry Jones was just like, I don't want to pay him, let's get rid of him. But most teams, if they have to get rid of a generational player, they're obviously not going to trade in division. They tried to get him out of conference. They've traded him to the team that beat them in the wild card last year. They traded him to Green Bay. Now they're like, we fleeced Green Bay 2 first rounds, and their D tackle, his name escapes me. But I'm just like,
oh, I think it was a Pro Bowl D tackle as well.
Yeah, but if 2 first round picks, I'm like, that's great and all. But if the Packers do really well, which if you look at the history of the Packers, the teams that won the Super Bowl, when they got a big generational defensive piece, they won the Super Bowl. So could Jordan Love be making the run? They're definitely a favorite now, but those first round picks are not going to get you an early, a top 10 pick or top 5 pick. You're going to get bottom 20, maybe even 31, 32, depending on the Packers. So I said it to a couple of people I've talked to. Fortunately, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be successful until Jerry Jones is gone.
Well, they set themselves back several years now by doing this. Instead of, okay, you're absolutely right about the 2 first round draft picks. Yeah, they're fantastic to have, but you're not going to really get any players with those draft picks. It's highly unlikely you will get anyone in those. It's like you say, Micah Parsons is a generational talent, a once in a generational defensive talent. And looking at the college football landscape now, there's nobody in the next couple of years with his level of ability who's going to come in and make a difference with the Cowboys. Whereas the Packers are clapping their hands together. They're certainly NFC Championship favorites with that defensive pickup, if not Super Bowl favorites to make it at least.
Well, look at when Rodgers won the Super Bowl against us. That was the year he was either 26 or 27, which is what Jordan Love is. And they got Charles Woodson from, I believe, the Raiders. He was a generational defensive player at that time, and they went on, and that was the piece they were missing.
Yeah,
and the Packers have always missed that one superstar on defense. They've got a great defense. They needed that one generational guy. They have him now. Jordan Love emerged last year, brought them all the way to the playoffs, went through the wild card, rose the Cowboys to get there. So yeah, I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing. I don't think Cowboys fans know what Jerry Jones are doing. I don't think the front office knows what Jerry Jones. It's Jerry's world, and
it literally is Jerry World.
Yeah.
down there in Frisco.
When he won't close the curtains for the team when it's sunny, but he'll close the curtains for a UFC fight. So we'll see how the Cowboys do. I don't know if they're going to get back to the playoffs. They may not. But when you lose a generational defensive player, when you're trying to stop, the reigning champions, the Eagles, who have their own generational player in Saquon Barkley, you kind of need a defender who can stuff that middle, stuff that run, and you just got rid of him.
I mean, as far as I know, that is the Cowboys' first fixture of the regular season. It's Cowboys Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Am I right in saying that? I thought I saw that. So
he said to Parsons before the whole contract dispute was, "Get ready for Philadelphia week 1," and now he's in Green Bay.
I mean, and I'm going to talk about this later on as well. I mean, to my mind, the Eagles have the best odds of getting back to the Super Bowl. And I know they might have lost a couple of pieces, but no one that important that should impact them on getting back there and repeating their Super Bowl success.
No, they shouldn't. And I mean, like I said, it's all going to come down to like how like the NFC plays out now with Micah switching places. Similar vein, Terry McLaurin finally gets his bag. He gets his payday.
As he absolutely deserved. I mean, one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL, and Jayden Daniels has just completely revitalized his career in Washington. And as you say, 3-year, $93 million contract signed in the offseason. So does that kind of secure the Commanders now, their presence in the NFC East as well?
Well, yeah, look at their performance last year. They made the playoffs, 12 wins, I believe, was their record. And Daniels emerged as, touch wood, unless something goes wrong in the first couple of weeks, as the franchise guy. He's gonna be with that team for the long term. You can't get rid of someone like Scary Terry. He has to be there. He bailed out, like, I wouldn't say bailed out, that's disrespectful to Jayden. He helped Jayden as a rookie, like, get those big plays. He was always able to get free. He was always able to help him when we needed a safety valve. To get rid of him, the Commanders would have been like nuts. It would have been a Jerry Jones move to get rid of Terry McLaurin by the Commanders. They're not going to do that. Yeah, there's going to be back and forth. There's always going to be that with the agents. But the Commanders wanted McLaurin to stay there long term. Now, they signed them. They can put that drama behind them and they can focus on going deeper into the playoffs this year, hopefully, with their rookie leading the way.
I'm a big fan of Jayden Daniels, and I was a big fan of his last year. Just his poise, he doesn't look like a rookie. Who was straight out of college into the NFL, and he was acting and playing like a seasoned veteran last year. And I think now that the Commanders have locked up McLaurin, they should be regular NFC contenders.
Absolutely, yeah. They're a team to consider and to be wary of. They don't show any type of, I wouldn't say weakness, but they don't seem to like falter too greatly against weaker teams the way other teams in the league do. There's they don't really fall for trap games as often, And when you have an explosive guy like Jayden Daniels, I mean, RG3 was that guy till he got horrifically injured.
Until he blew out his knee.
Yeah, and the team is just built for a quarterback like that. And the league is built for a quarterback like that. They have their guy. Definitely have to keep an eye on them in the AFC.
I really just hope that the grounds crew in FedEx Field there in Landover, Maryland have replaced the turf, because I don't know how many quarterbacks have Alex Smith, and his career basically ended there. RG3 tore his ACL. It was never the same after that injury. So the Commanders just have to hope and pray and do everything they can to avoid having Jayden Daniels suffer a similar fate.
Absolutely. And I suppose the other big signing that we can mention would be the Bengals finally gave their sack leader, Trey Hendrickson, his contract. Now, unfortunately, it does put him kind of on the island as being the only good defender on that abysmal Bengals defense. And I'm not just saying that for a Steelers fan.
I mean, how many points did they give up last year? I think the worst defensive, I think they ranked 32nd in points allowed last season. And it didn't matter how many points Joe Burrow threw or how many touchdowns they scored. I mean, the defense just completely sank them.
Yeah, there's a reason Burrow and Chase got the receiving yards and the passing yards crown, because they had no choice but to literally sling the ball on every down. To basically every game was a shootout for them. Their defense couldn't stop anything. I was going to say couldn't catch a cold. They're not supposed to catch calls, but they couldn't stop anything. It was like they were running a defense like from old NFL Europe, or even from like a domestic league. Like, it was not an NFL caliber defense. And again, the Bengals have put all their money rightfully in Burrow and Chase, and now Hendrickson.
No, they're 2-star players. We have to pay your defensive guys as well.
but they don't really have anyone else on the defense. So he gets a good payday. He's not going to get the ring that he rightfully deserves, or even like a deep playoff run that he knows he wants. Because I love, as a defensive guy, I love Trey Hendrickson. He's a great player, but unfortunately, he's the only good player in that defense right now.
I mean, the AFC North as a division is very interesting this year, because obviously, I have no problem saying it. The Ravens are the best team in this division right now.
Unfortunately.
Steelers, unfortunately, but like the Steelers. Look, we're both Steelers fans, and you can see how hard Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin and that entire organization are trying to make things better there. But at the same time, you have a very aging Aaron Rodgers, who we both, like, I saw him play. I've been saying this to everyone who's been asking me about that signing. I saw him play twice last year in person, once in Pittsburgh, once in London, and he was god awful. He was absolutely god awful, and I just don't think he has it left in him to do anything to make a deep run. He might win a handful of games, but I think ultimately he's going to get hurt, or his play is just going to drop off a cliff to the point where our season is going to be lost. And even the weapons we've brought in, that we've brought in on offense, okay, DK is good, but Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, there's a reason Philadelphia got rid of him, right? He's expendable. You even look at the defense. Trading Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think, was a mistake. And bringing in Jalen Ramsey and there's the other cornerback that we signed, whose name avoids me now.
Slay, is it? I can't remember.
Darius Slay again, from another Eagles cast off.
Yeah.
You're trying to put band-aids and bullet holes here, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to quote Roethlisberger from his little episode of Footballing with Ben. He said, "There's a big if. If the offensive line can give Rodgers 3-4 seconds, you'll see magic. But if the offensive line can't give Rodgers even a second or two, he's like, that's it. The season's gone." And he's like, that's the same for every team in the league. And I always say that every team, you need the offensive line. You're only as good as your offensive line. And he's not throwing the offensive line under the bus, but he's basically pointing out the fact that Aaron Rodgers is old. He's in his 40s. He's not mobile. He is only over a horrific Achilles injury.
2 seasons removed now since that season opener where he tore it on the second drive or the second play of the first drive.
Yeah. He's not Brett Favre. Like,
no.
You know, he's not the guy who can just absorb punishment and punishment and punishment. But as Ben says, give him like 3 to 4 seconds, you could see some of the old Aaron Rodgers magic. But again, you know, who do we have on that side of the ball? DK getting up there. You know, he has his moments, but Freiermuth is underused. Mount Washington, Darnell Washington, is absolutely underused.
Completely underutilized. He had a great preseason. He had a fantastic couple of catches and a touchdown or two in the preseason. And you wonder why they're using him as an inline blocker primarily.
It's just pure size. Like, he's massive. He's called Mount Washington for a reason. Like, he's basically on another team. He'd be an O-lineman. And then we got Calvin Austin, you know, a couple other unnamed guys who, like, you say to a Steelers fan, so-and-so, and they're like, who? Like,
yeah.
Oh. And then Connor Haywood, fullback, tight end. We have more tight ends than we do named tight ends than we do receivers. I don't know. Like, we can't win we can't win anything just by going Aaron to DK every game. It's not going to work. We need a second guy. Whether Calvin Austin will be that guy, we don't know yet. Preseason, he looked good. Again, that's preseason. Everyone looks good in preseason.
Yeah, nothing really matters in the preseason.
And on to flip on that, Skylar Thompson looks good.
Mm-hmm.
It is preseason Skylar Thompson, but he does look good. A hell of a lot better than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph does not look like a backup quarterback. He looks like a third-string quarterback at this point. My opinion, if Skylar Thompson isn't number 2 behind Rodgers, I think there's a little bit of favoritism, you know, just because Mason was a career backup for the Steelers. Like, he was drafted when Ben was still in his prime. And he never really looked good. He did have some magic moments, especially that season with him and Duck Hodges. But my theory, and I'm going to see whether you agree with this or not, but Will Howard is currently going to be should be placed on injured reserve before kickoff on Sunday, which means he'll be out for 4 weeks because he's still recovering from his hand injury. Skylar Thompson looked so good in preseason. I think that by week 5, you may see Skylar Thompson get flipped to another team who is going to face an injury because it is the league for a late 5th, maybe 6th round pick, get something back for him, which will then give Will Howard, I would love to say number 2 spot, but it'd be number 3 because he hasn't proven himself. But in that instance, I think then he could work his way back up to number 2, possibly number 1, depending what happens with Rodgers.
Is Will Howard, though, the heir apparent in Pittsburgh, or are they still looking to the draft? I mean, again, I don't think it's a fantastic draft for quarterbacks in 2026 either. You've Garrett Nussmeier coming out of LSU. You've Arch Manning, who is not going to be a good quarterback in the league as far as I can see based off his college play. You have the Georgia quarterback. Maybe the Ohio State quarterback. There's a couple of guys there, and just looking at them in college, I don't see any potential for us drafting a quarterback in 26.
I mean, if you look at Will Howard, a lot of people forget he's a national champion.
He is with Georgia.
He won the national championship with Georgia.
Ohio State, Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State. He is natty champion. Like, don't take that away from him. Is he heir apparent? If you look at the Facebook groups, no, he's a third string guy. He'll be a career backup. If you look at Reddit, he is the heir apparent. So it depends. The fan base is split.
Depends who you're asking.
Yeah. I think he's a really good quarterback. He showed a lot of good flashes and a lot of good smart play in training camp before he got hurt. Like, so much so that beat reporters were talking about him. Coach T was bigging him up. Now, obviously, Coach T is going to big up anybody. But when Coach T is bigging up Will Howard to Roethlisberger on the side, in general, because, Ben tells you everything when he's at camp on his podcast, that's a good sign. But when it comes down to it, if we have an absolute blowout season and end up in a top 5 pick, you have to take Arch Manning if he's there, because
we didn't take Shedeur Sanders, and everyone was convinced we were going to take Shedeur Sanders of 21st overall back in April, and we didn't.
Yeah, but Shedeur Sanders, they retired his jersey for having like a barely winning season and losing in the playoffs.
That's because his dad is head coach at Colorado. That's why.
Yeah. But like, the reason you'll see teams, fans, GMs, etc. in the state like Khan and stuff would be clamoring to take Arch Manning if he's available, is you don't want another Dan Marino situation.
No.
We had a chance to draft Marino and we didn't. So they're not going to look
at... I think we took Ken Stabler instead, didn't we?
Yeah, they're not going to look at like Manning if he's there and go, no, we're gonna pass. We have Will Howard. You're going to take him because then you have Arch Manning sitting behind Will Howard if he becomes the guy, and then if he has a blow up or a blowout, then you have a possible second generational guy. But
well, look, it's going to be a very interesting season for the Steelers fans, especially given that all eyes will be on them on September 28th in Croke Park. I'm conscious that this is not a Steelers podcast, and we do tend to get carried away because this is our only outlet currently to discuss the Steelers. 2 other interesting quarterback situations in the preseason. So first, division rivals, the Browns, opting to go with Joe Flacco. Clearly not confident enough in either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. So it'll be interesting to see how that hierarchy plays out. I personally think it's going to be Joe Flacco starts, Dylan Gabriel backs him up purely because he was a higher round draft pick and had better success at Oregon than Shedeur did in Colorado. I think Shedeur Sanders will see the field at some stage this season. But it's very, very telling that the Browns opted to go with a 40-year-old Joe Flacco over 2, shiny new rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, like, Flacco has the experience. Like, you got when you looked at the Browns quarterback room at one stage, it's injured Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and Gabriel. And then you look, Gabriel had an awful preseason. Terrible preseason. Shedeur Sanders had a flash, and then he had terrible reaction. So the Browns literally had no choice
No.
to run with Flacco. And then you had the injury in Oakland, Las Vegas. I'm showing my age there. Vegas with the Raiders. So Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett gets sent to the Raiders.
Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett. That is like, it actually
It's true.
sickens me. I know it's true, but it sickens me when people say that because he did feck all to deserve that ring. He backed up Jalen Hurts.
Listen, I'm still a Pitt fan. I'm still a Kenny Pickett fan. He was put in a situation where he couldn't win. He was too much pressure put on him. Is he going to be a franchise guy? No. He'll be a career backup, but he was ran out of Pittsburgh unfairly. But that's another story.
That's another podcast.
Flacco is going to bring the Browns, ageless Joe Flacco is going to bring the Browns into week 1. And then we flip over to Big Blue in New York where we see, no, not Big Blue, sorry, we flip over to Indianapolis, the other blue team, and we see Daniel Jones,
the Horseshoes.
Daniel Jones, the former Big Blue quarterback, taking the starting job off Anthony Richardson to open week 1.
I was very surprised at that because, again, I saw Daniel Jones play in Munich last year when the Giants took on the Panthers, and he didn't really do anything of much. He was very, very ordinary, and of course the Giants ended up losing that game. So I mean that just shows you how little faith the Colts had in the development of Anthony Richardson in his second year that they opted to go with Daniel Jones. But the question is now is what does Richardson do, or what do they do with Richardson? Because he is too talented to sit at a number 2 spot. So do they keep him around for a season and learn under Jones as much as he can learn under Daniel Jones, or do they try and get some kind of return or get some kind of something back?
So the Colts are in an interesting situation. They are currently have their quarterback 1 and 2 are both first round picks. I think the mentality they're going with is kick the tires on Daniel Jones, see how far he brings us. If he flames out, we have Anthony Richardson sitting in the wing.
Yeah.
He has got the talent. He does need time to sit. I think he was put in starter too early. Whereas flip to Daniel Jones, yeah, he was thrown in too early, but he had a fairly okay start. But when you take away his offensive line and you take away Saquon Barkley, who was his running back at when he first was a rookie, you put an enormous amount of pressure on a guy who is basically at that time a rookie to basically helm the team. I think the system wasn't good for Daniel Jones. I think the Colts have a better system that suits his play style and his mentality. I think he may do a lot better than he done in New York. Is he going to be their franchise guy? I can't answer that. That's only time to tell. But the Colts are doing the smart thing. Kick the tires on Daniel Jones. If he plays even serviceable, somebody's going to get hurt during the season. They're going to have a nice trade bait in Daniel Jones and then roll Anthony Richardson out, or vice versa. If Daniel Jones goes off and plays out of his mind, gets them to even to the wild card or even to a conference, or a division, not a conference, a division. Then you have Anthony Richardson, who's going to get them a couple of draft picks. It's the way I describe it. It's like the Patriot system. Amass those draft picks, amass that capital, use guys to bait in teams to get more capital off them. They've got 2 options here, and it's not a bad thing for them to be in. So I'd say keep an eye on Daniel Jones, see if this system plays out. If not, he'll be gone before the trade deadline.
Well, I'm going to be seeing the Colts in action this season in Pittsburgh when they take on the Steelers in Halloween weekend, actually. So that's going to be very interesting to see who is at the helm there. So lots of storylines to keep an eye on as the regular season.
The last thing we should mention is Adam Thielen is returning to Minnesota.
Definitely an interesting reunion. Probably a good reunion as well, and probably a good thing for JJ McCarthy to have.
He looked reinvigorated after his time in Carolina. So yeah, JJ McCarthy has a reliable weapon to help him out in his rookie season.
His rookie season, though, with his second rookie season, technically speaking, I suppose. And something else we want to keep an eye on throughout the season is we have 4 Irish lads in the NFL currently, but 3 of them have made practice squads after very, very strong preseason games. Mark McNamee in particular looked really, really good in Green Bay. Literally was started kicking in American football 6 months ago. Went to the draft, went to the combine through the International Player Pathway Program, got signed to the BC Lions in the Canadian Football League, then got cut, and then got a phone call. And a week later, he literally landed in Green Bay and was suiting up for his first ever NFL game. I really thought, now obviously Brandon McManus was on that roster, so he was never really going to get a starting roster spot. But look, you also have Jude McAtamney in New York, who has actually seen real game time last season. And then also we have Charlie Smith in New Orleans, who had another fantastic preseason. And for a few minutes there last week, when the Dolphins were looking for a kicker, I really thought they were going to try and get Charlie Smith. So I really do think we're going to see more than one of these guys in regular season action this year. Considering out of the three of those, I do think Charlie Smith and possibly Mark McNamee are the strongest kickers. What are your thoughts, Twist? Could we potentially see another Irishman starting in the NFL this season?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously we've got Dan Quinn, who is starting punter for the Packers. He'll, be our number one guy for any Irish fans there. A second guy in the league, I mean, that would be great. I'd love to see it. I mean, if you rewind back to this time last year, I think we were all saying that out of the three, or sorry, back then it was only two. Yeah, out of McAtamney and Smith, we all hedged our bets that Charlie Smith would see actual game, like meaningful game time before Jude would, and Jude put us all to
he came in for Greg Joseph, I think, who's actually gone from the Giants now. I don't know where he is, so potentially bigger chances there.
I'd say I still think Charlie Smith has the better chance to land a full-time starter role.
Higher profile.
I wouldn't even say it's higher profile. It's just whoever is running or helping him run his social media. Leader Kicking helps him and stuff, but whoever's doing it in the States, showing those big booming kicks that he was doing all last year, really putting it out there that this guy can hit bombs.
But he hit a 52-yarder in the preseason this year.
Yeah,
and his first ever kick in preseason last year was a game-winning field goal for the Saints. So he's proven himself in these situations that he can perform.
Yeah, and I think if a kicker goes down, season ending, or even for a couple of weeks, a team would be insane not to snap him up from the Saints practice squad. I think the Saints are kind of hoping that people will look at him and just go, "Oh, he's an IPP player. We don't want that. We can't trust that," and not look him up and look up his the tape that he has on him already.
But I don't think there's much of as much of aspersion about international kickers anymore when you've seen the success that Dan Whelan's had in Green Bay. Now I know he's naturalized; he's been in America since he was a kid. But you look at Jamie Gillan for the Giants; he's Scottish. There's several Australian punters in the league, so I think teams are slowly beginning to come around to the concept that these international guys can kick, and it's only a matter of time before we have more than one Irish player as a starter in the NFL.
Yeah, the thing is, it's heavily weighted towards punters at the moment. I don't know what I think the aversion is, because a kicker actually contributes to the score and deciding a game. Again, it shouldn't be an issue. Like, Charlie Smith and Jude are both phenomenally talented. Again, sorry, Jude, I'm going to put my hat on Charlie and say if anyone's going to get a meaningful start, whether it's for 4 to 6 weeks or even a full-time gig out of the two first, I think Charlie's going to get it first out of the two. But, I'd love to see both of them. Kickers get injured, kickers get concussed, and then, you just look at rookie kickers. Was it the Green Bay kicker who kicked the 70-yarder against the Steelers in the preseason?
Oh, I don't know.
Which is annoying that doesn't count.
No, it was the Jaguars kicker.
Jaguars, that's what it was, yeah.
I can't think of his name now.
It's little on the Jag. It doesn't count for a record because it's a preseason, which is annoying. But, he
He
obviously
definitely got drug tested the next day.
they had the Pat McAfee the job. But like you look at guys like that who like he's American, he's been through the system stuff, but he doesn't have like meaningful experience, and he booms a 70-yarder. Give Charlie Smith any
Yeah,
team out there, you lose your kicker, give Charlie Smith a kick.
100%. But look, we wish the lads all the best for the season ahead, and we will definitely be keeping a close eye on their performance, and also we'll be clipping up their kicks and putting them on our Instagram. So make sure you follow us if you are a regular listener on across all social media channels. Twist, we're going to wrap it up. We somehow managed to get 35 minutes of a podcast there. I don't know how we did it. Usually things just start flowing when we jump on. But look, the regular
Like we
season is
never had a
kicking.
break.
The regular season is kicking off on Thursday night in Sao Paulo, and we have the Chargers and the Chiefs. Am I right? No, I can't be right.
No,
It's definitely the. I forget now who's playing. To be honest with you, I probably should have looked it up before we started. Look it up there quickly for me.
yeah. I was like, I believe it's the Eagles, isn't it?
No, the Eagles and Cowboys are playing Sunday night. I think.
Mad unprofessional. No, it
Yeah,
is.
well,
Yeah, Eagles Cowboys.
in Sao Paulo.
No, Lincoln Financial Field, Thursday Night Football.
Well, there you go. I was completely incorrect.
Yeah. I
So
was like, it can't be Sao Paulo already. Sao Paulo was last season.
Sorry, Sao Paulo was Friday night. That's what it is. That's what I'm thinking. But yes, the reigning Super Bowl champions, as per tradition, are kicking off on Thursday night football.
It is, yeah. Sorry, the time differences. I'm just looking at the times there.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we are very professional here. So obviously, like that's a big one, and then a full slate of NFL action on Sunday. I won't be budging from the couch after 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Look, I mean,
Professional has changed slightly. I don't have a beer in my hand for once.
that's because you're wrecked. You'd probably pass out if you had a can of Guinness right now.
Yep.
Come here before we jump off. Look, obviously, a massive year in store, and look, we're going to be doing so much this year, which is fantastic. Any predictions for the season ahead, Twist? Before we sign off,
Oh,
do the Eagles make a Super Bowl run and retain their championship, or did the Lions finally get their title, or can the Chiefs bounce back after a shocker of a game last February?
Predictions: Patrick Mahomes will get all of the digital first down things in his favor, even though it shouldn't because it's digital. Fans will be really annoyed because Taylor Swift will be on TV and the Sky.
Congratulations, by the way, to T Swift and Travis Kelce. That's love seeing that all over my social media feed. That's all they're going to be talking about. But look, if it brings, we've talked about it before. If it brings fans to the game, I'm all for
it. Wild prediction: Lions will crash out.
Ooh,
will probably only make the wild card.
it's very interesting, especially with Aiden Hutchinson's coming back.
Yeah, I think they're going to crash out. I think their window is closed or on the brink of closing. Chiefs won't make the AFC Championship. I think if anyone's going to cause any...
Hang on a second now. Who Chiefs won't make the AFC Championship?
Won't make the AFC Championship.
So Ravens and who?
Oh, I haven't thought that far ahead.
Yeah, Ravens Steelers hardly.
No, not the Steelers. Would you go away? You're one and done, if anything.
Yeah.
I would have to say, yeah. I'm gonna. Every Steelers fan on the planet's gonna hate me. I'm sorry, but I think the AFC Championship, even with their terrible defense, Bengals Ravens.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which means one of our teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. One of our rivals are going to be in the Super Bowl. Browns are in the basement. Sorry, Browns. That's where you belong. Lions going to crash out. I think Eagles will be NFC Championship in the NFC Championship game, and possibly against the Commanders or the Packers. Now,
yeah, I could see the Commanders. I could see Dan Quinn you could see the passion again that Dan Quinn brings and how his coaching style really helped Jaden Daniels last year. So I really think that the Commanders take the next step this year and do make it to a championship game, but I just don't think they have the experience yet. And I don't think anyone's stopping Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia defense.
Well, take this to the bank. Super Bowl, Ravens, Packers win.
Ooh, Ravens Packers, or the Packers win. That is very interesting.
Take it to the bank.
All right. Well, listen, Twist. It's always a pleasure to see your face. Look, we did a fucking 40-minute podcast there. I don't know how we did that. Thanks very much again to our sponsors, printmypint.ie. Make sure you check them out for your next event. And we will be back after week 1 with our regularly scheduled podcast. And Twist, go and get some sleep.
Good night. See you.
Good luck.